Independent client, customer Bud, B-U-D-D. This is a kitchen home built in like the mid 2000s, early 2000s. There is no lead remediation or RRP rule here for lead detection. So let's take a look at the room real quick just to make sure that you see how I've got it drawn. This is an outside corner wall. There is molding here, 9-foot ceilings. Top alignment in that corner is 8 feet. She's happy with that top alignment for everything. She doesn't really like the up and down or the in and out thing. She just wants to try to make this as much storage as possible with the space that she's got. Something to note here, you've got a backsplash tile that's here. All that's coming out, so we have plug and repatch of that, and then they're going to be doing either full height granite backsplashes or another tile instead of this. Removal of the cabinets, all the old cabinets here, possibly can check with Habitat for Humanity for donation for those. They're in really good shape for that type of thing, but they are showing some wear on them. On the corner here, this is a footprint that's in the tile. There is no change to that footprint. So we got to make sure that we have a few things that are exactly the same so that our footprint is not a problem. So if you take a look right here, this is the return against the end of that wall. Your countertop comes all the way to the end. Your margin here is about 2 inches, 1.75 inches actually, from the end of the panel to that. Notice also here, there is a toe space in the bottom of this panel, and that panel is exactly 3 inches wide. So that is a requirement for this one. We have to be exactly the same panel, exactly the same spot so that we don't have a footprint change. 24-inch dishwasher is the standard. Over here on this side, you've got an arch top window. If we go to 8-foot alignment, which is this one, you won't have any problems with any molding conflicts. But again, if you take a look up here, this is about 3.5 inches of space for the molding return. It is shorter than the lower cabinets, and it's by design so that you don't have any problems with it hanging out past the end. Over here, this looks like a 12-inch cabinet, and the measurement is exactly 36 inches here. This is actually 10.5 inches. It was reduced in width to make sure that the margin could be matched. So your margin here and your margin here are the same. And then as far as the return, they're about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches off of each one. You'll notice there's a little bump out in this, so we don't have any problems with conflict against the molding of the window. Take a look down here. You got a filler here. You've got a actual center line on the window, 33 sink base is here now. The filler itself is about 3 inches. And then this corner cabinet here is a Lazy Susan 36. It's got a 12 frame on the other side. Here on this one, you've got a 18-inch drawer base that's here now. You've got a 27-inch base cabinet that's beside of it. And then the oven that they have here now is a 33-inch oven cabinet. And then you've got a margin to the door trim of right at 5 inches. Door trim to trim on this one is listed on the drawing, but you can see it's a married corner. They do not have a step out for that, and it's a doorway. You've got a lean-in pantry here. And then you've got 4 inches of space of wall before you return. This inside here is 33 inches deep, front to back. I would like to see this as mom's attic. Well, we always talk about that cabinet being pulled forward. We got the end panel here. If you look at the spacing, let me check that out. If you look at the spacing, this is a 39-inch cabinet that's up here. So you've got at least 1 inch, 1.25 inches here. Over here on this side, you got about 1 inch, 1.25 inches there. And it does have baseboard on the left. So having this as a 38-inch space and having a 3/4 inch end panel here for mom's attic wouldn't hurt anything at all as far as the spacing on the refrigerator. The next thing you've got here on the wall cabinets is a 30-inch cabinet. After the 39, and then you got about 3 3/8 inches to the end of the wall. Now I'm showing you all that because this is going to be treated differently. You can see here, this is the beverage area. We talked about making this cabinet, this particular cabinet, maybe 15 inches deep or 18 inches deep. And that because she wants to be able to store different things here, coffee mugs, this kind of thing. We also talked about making it at a bottom alignment of 57 or at 60, just because you can get the little carousel for the Keurigs, or you can get other types of taller blenders, this kind of thing to sit here. That's all in conjunction with this space. So the desk area is being eliminated. This is a 24-inch deep cabinet. The footprint that's underneath it is standard for that. It's a 21-inch footprint or so. They're wanting to bring this all the way across and eliminate this desk area. If we do that, that also means that this phone jack that you see here will be dropped below that line and actually be inside of that space underneath and be plugged in underneath. So you'll have a scutcheon hole that'll actually go down and plug in for the telephone and everything that's still set here. Now, the one thing we did talk about today was taking this out and actually cutting this to one level, cutting the wall down to one level to where you have 34.5 inches of space. This is 25.5 inches from here to the back wall. So that means you'd have an 1.5 inch overhang, and then you'd have a slight bump out to your countertop to cover the wall where we cut it off. Have about an 1.5 inch overhang to this side. And then on this back, you can see the molding on the top of the wall is already that. So you got about an 1.5 inch overhang to the top of that wall. This again, cut to one level. All right, so let's take a look here real quick on the island. On the island right now, there is a 30-inch gas cooktop. It is a downdraft cooktop. One thing we talked about today was actually having full height doors here instead of it looking like the sink base, the old top style sink base. If you look inside, you actually have a gas connection on the right-hand side. You have electrical connection for the spark plugs there. And on the left-hand side, it's completely full of ductwork and the downdraft. So this is why when we talk about saving the same footprint, they're talking about keeping the same cooktop, because they have so much invested in moving the electrical and the plumbing and the gas that this would just be a real budget crunch to move all this, to change this appliance. Now, this is still made, the appliance is still made, KitchenAid still makes that, but it is something that they're looking at replacing this with new cabinetry, but this staying exactly the same. So you're looking at 54 inches. This one's a 30-inch center sink base, a 12 and a 12. One thing we talked about today was maybe doing a set of drawers on each side of this, but then on the sides that show, the insides here, this will be a decorative door. This will be like a 42-inch base with full height doors and roll-out trays. The reason is you'd like to see this as a piece of furniture. You see how it has a footprint underneath with a step in? We could make that a wide rail front. We could wrap this with a baseboard around the bottom of it. The back here really doesn't matter to her as far as having the doors. You can see before they just hung a wall cabinet between the two in the back of this. But if you actually build this as a single paneled across the back, and then put the overhang of the countertop past it and run a nice baseboard around the bottom, this would not require decorative doors on the back of it. But then if you come back around over here and we mimic the same thing we have going on the other side, the electrical plug you see there could go in the end panel of that as a decorative door, another base 42 full height with roll-out trays, and this again would be the same thing. It would look like a piece of furniture where we have that wide rail kitchen that goes to the floor, and again, the decorative baseboard around the bottom. Overall length, we're looking at 78 inches on the countertop. So she wants like a 12 or 15 inch overhang to the back of the countertop. And then the base cabinet line on this, I think it was 66 inches or something like that. So again, I've given you some measurements on the drawing. We're going to look at those in just a minute of what these offsets are, the walk space in the room. And I've also given you the measurements for the whole room. Let's take a look at that real quick. All right, so here's our wall that we're cutting down, 47.25, 25.5. Add those two together and you'll have the whole space. Again, the refrigerator is a 39-inch opening right now in the tile floor. It absolutely has to stay. Here's your other measurements, 155 and 7/8. Overall, 36 3/4 your door. I went over earlier the measurements of the cabinets that were here. Same thing here, 36, so you're looking at 35 cab box max on that one. 103/8 is our overall wall. 39 is a window, 25 and 5/8. This is an outside corner. Here's the one I was talking about, 43 inches of walking space here now. 63 inches or 60 inches of space here between the front of the cooktop and the front of the oven. And here there's 44 inches of walk-in space between the oven, or between the outside of this cabinet and the inside of that cabinet. So that's the space right here on the edge of the island and the front of the dishwasher space. Okay, so that is the kitchen. I'm going to pause it. Or actually, we're 9 minutes. We'll go ahead and make another video for the laundry. If you have any questions on this, give me a call, 423-650-1051. Have a great day.